Okay, hi everybody. This is Mr. Cook, and this is a weekly review screencast. These screencasts are going to be fairly basic. They are going to simply recap and describe what we did in class for the week. I'll also be posting screencasts through the year on particular subjects, but just a way for you to kind of listen to and review what we did for the week so that you can really process the ideas that we have been working with. On the first day of classes, we looked at and talked about the skills of an historian. We did a group brainstorm. We came up with a list of 6 skills that historians need. She needs to be curious, patient, observe things closely, to be impartial. Impartiality, what we mean by that really, by impartiality, is be unbiased, as open-minded as possible to the possibilities that the source material might provide for her. The historian needs research and writing skills, and she needs to be able to analyze, look very closely at evidence, and evaluate, make interpretations about that evidence. You might even add that to the list, interpretive skills. Then we went outside and practiced looking really closely at Beveridge Hall, one of the oldest buildings at Dana Hall, and where we practiced the skill of looking closely, the observational skills. We searched out detail. We proposed explanations for what we saw. We said, I wonder what's going on here. And then we made connections to things we knew about in Western Civ. Most of us looked and saw that Beveridge Hall had the Greek columns on the front, and that was in reference to the Greek columns of ancient Greece. We grappled with the question of what is Western civilization. We did that introductory reading on what is Western civilization and asked the question, what is the West? What is civilization? And why are these difficult questions to answer? We got to the heart of things, we really decided that it's difficult to say what the West is, because the West, the way the historians use it, is to describe sort of a place as much as a direction. And what is known as the West, in terms of a place, has changed over time. Sometimes parts of the world would be considered Western. Other times, those same parts of the world would not be considered Western, because our perceptions of what's West changes throughout history. But when we think of West, we think not only of a direction, but of really a place, the Western world, and also a frame of mind, shared characteristics of a culture. We went through and defined what a civilization is, and went and looked at a lot of different aspects of that civilization, of any civilization, and then really got into the idea that defining what is a civilization is difficult, because people have different ideas about what those characteristics might mean. And also, maybe most importantly, people have differences of opinion about what it means to be progressed or advanced. And we talked about, say, the idea that global warming is the price we pay for economic development. Is that really advanced? We didn't claim it one way or another. We just put it out as a question. And ultimately, we came up with the acronym SUGARW for society, urban setting, government, art, religion, and writing. This is a vital model for us to know about. We really want to make sure we're comfortable with this. We'll be working with it all year. Then we moved on to explore the idea of geography and mapping, which is what we've been doing really here at the end of the week. And I think I misspelled that there. Yes, I did. Geography and mapping. We looked at seeing through maps and said, what are maps used for? How do we know if they're any good? And we really boiled it down to maps are good if they're useful for the purpose intended. So sometimes you need a topographic map with incredible detail if you're going to try to go hiking in the mountains. But sometimes you need a very simple map. If you just want to know where the women's room is, all you need is a very simple map with an arrow pointing down the hall to where the women's room is. So the quality of the map depends upon its usefulness. We looked at a number of different maps and saw that all maps are really distortions of reality. And all maps are really kind of a compromise, because we have a 3-dimensional world that we're trying to show in 2 dimensions. So map makers have to have conventions, or in other words, practices and methods to deal with these challenges. We went out and got our hands dirty and actually tried to make a map of the area of the soccer field at Dana, and really grappled with the problems that map makers have, namely direction, scale, orientation, and topography, right? Four major challenges that all map makers have. We then use those maps and that experience to really do what we call the beehive brainstorm, to come up with ideas around the question of how do maps and an understanding of geography really allow for the development of civilization. And we said that maps allow for travel, trade, conquest, property rights. This isn't a complete list, but this is what we were talking about. These sorts of things. All of these things depend upon an understanding of geography. And as historians, if we're to know history, we got to know geography. We got to get familiar with geography so that we know the history. Geography is going to be a major theme throughout the year as well. So SUGARW and geography. Those are two big themes we're going to hit over and over and over again. And finally, we concluded by asking a kind of an out there question, a what do you think question. How do our maps shape the way we look at the world? We looked at the upside down map and thought, wow, how does it really affect how we see the world? What if the south was on the top and north was on the bottom? And then finally, we finished by looking at the map of the Mediterranean and said, this map here, the people who lived in the ancient world, they saw their world from the point of view of the ocean, the Mediterranean. They didn't see Europe, Middle East, North Africa. They saw one Mediterranean world. The water is a connector and not a divider. So as always, please let me know if you have any questions with this, and hopefully this helps you to review what we've done this week.